Welcome to the Sleep to Dream Analytics Explainer video, where better sleep starts with better understanding.
We've all had them, right? Those heart-pounding, terrifying dreams that leave you feeling totally shaken. But what if a nightmare is more than just a bad dream? What if it's actually a message from a part of your brain that's not quite asleep and not quite awake either? Let's dive into the pretty wild world of what our nightmares might really be telling us.
So get this. This was the reality for a 62-year-old man. Every single night, this same horrifying vision would play out. It got so bad that he started to dread going to bed, putting it off for as long as he possibly could. I mean, this wasn't just a one-off bad dream. This was nightly torture.
And that right there is our central mystery. What in the world was happening to this man? To figure it out, we're going to have to become sleep detectives, you and I, and investigate all the different things that people lump together under the name nightmares.
Okay, so our first line of inquiry starts with the most common culprit, the usual suspect, the classic clinical nightmare. This is what most of us think of when we hear the word, but, the official diagnosis is actually a lot more specific than you might realize.
A clinical nightmare disorder isn't just one scary dream that wakes you up. We're talking about a pattern. It's recurring, intensely upsetting dreams, usually about something threatening your life or safety. And they're so powerful they literally jolt you awake from a deep sleep.
And the clues for this are very specific. These nightmares almost always happen late in your sleep cycle, during what's called REM sleep. And when you wake up, you're not groggy or confused. No, you are instantly wide awake, and you can remember every horrifying detail perfectly. But here's the kicker. It has to cause real-world problems, like a genuine, life-disrupting fear of going to sleep.
And this chart really spells it out, right? It shows the difference between just having a bad dream and having a clinical disorder. Most of us, especially when we were kids, had nightmares sometimes. It's super common. But the actual disorder, where it becomes this chronic disruptive problem, affects a much smaller group of adults, only about 4%.
So, nightmare disorder is suspect number one. But our investigation can't stop there, because for some people, the terror doesn't just stay in their mind. It gets physical.
And this, right here, is a huge distinction. See, in a normal dream, your body is pretty much paralyzed. It's a built-in safety feature so you don't act out your dreams. But in some of these other disorders, that safety switch fails, and that's when people start to physically act out what's happening in their heads, leading to some truly bizarre and sometimes even dangerous situations.
We can basically split these physical events into two main camps, fight or flight. On the flight side, you've got things like NREM parasomnias, or sleep terrors. This is a powerful primal instinct to flee a danger that you're dreaming about, and it tends to happen earlier in the night. Now, on the other side, you've got the fight response. This is called REM Behaviour Disorder, or RBD. This happens later in the night, and in this case, people aren't running away, they're physically fighting back against whatever is attacking them in their dream.
Just to give you an idea of what that flight response looks like, check out this real-life case. A man, dead asleep, became completely convinced his house was on fire. He leaped out of bed, grabbed his two kids, and ran out into the street. To him, in that moment, the danger was 100% real.
Or how about this one? It's another incredible example of that mind-body disconnect. A young patient in the middle of a sleep terror saw a simple butter dish, but to his sleeping brain, it was a live bomb. So what did he do? He did the logical thing in that dream reality. He threw it out the window to save everyone.
Okay, so that's flight. Now let's look at the fight response. This is a classic case of REM behavior disorder. A patient is dreaming that he's being attacked by pterodactyls. And because that safety switch in his brain is off, he's not just dreaming about it, he is physically in his bed, grabbing his pillow, and fighting for his life against extinct flying reptiles.
All right, detective, we've now investigated our main suspects: nightmare disorder, sleep terrors, and RBD. So let's circle back to our original case, the 62-year-old man and those terrifying yellow snakes. It's finally time to solve this thing. So let's review the evidence. We know he was terrified, absolutely. But he wasn't running out of the room, and he wasn't physically fighting off the snakes in his bed. So what exactly was going on here?
First, let's look at nightmare disorder again. Remember, the key there is you wake up from a dream and then you remember the story. His experience was different. The horror was happening as he was falling asleep. So that's not it. We can cross suspect number one off the list.
Okay, so what about a sleep terror? That flight response? Well, He wasn't doing any of that. He wasn't jumping out of bed trying to escape. He was lying there, completely paralyzed by fear. So nope, it's not a sleep terror either.
And finally, could it be REM behavior disorder? Was he fighting back? No. There was no pillow swinging, no thrashing around. He was still. So, RBD is off the table too. Okay, all of our main suspects have been eliminated.
So if it wasn't any of those things, what was it? Well, the actual diagnosis, the twist that unlocks this whole puzzle, was something else entirely. The real culprit? Narcolepsy.
You see, what the man was experiencing weren't technically nightmares at all. They were something called hypnagogic hallucinations, which is a classic symptom of narcolepsy. Just imagine this. As you're drifting off to sleep, your mind is still awake enough to see your bedroom, but your brain has already started dreaming. And the dream, in his case, those terrifying snakes, starts to spill out and overlay itself onto the real world. You see them, you hear them, maybe you even feel them.
And this gets to the absolute core of it all. When people say the word nightmare, they could be describing one of several completely different things going on in their brain. The word is just a catch-all term we use for classic nightmares, for sleep terrors, for RBD, and even for these waking dreams of narcolepsy.
So, if these are all different phenomena, what's the connection? Is there some kind of mastermind, some one big theory that links all of these strange and terrifying experiences together?
Well, it turns out there is. The big idea, the unifying concept, is what sleep scientists call a dissociated sleep-wake state. It sounds complicated, but the idea behind it is actually pretty straightforward. It's this notion that your brain isn't always fully on or fully off. Sometimes, different parts can be in different states at the exact same time.
Honestly, the simplest way to think about it is like this. Your brain is stuck between stations. One part of your brain is awake and totally aware of your bedroom, but another part is deep in a dream state, cooking up pterodactyls or house fires or giant yellow snakes. It's this neurological mix-up that creates these absolutely terrifying and bizarre experiences.
So, the next time you wake up from something strange or frightening at night, maybe don't just brush it off as a bad dream. Ask yourself, was I fighting? Was I trying to flee? Was I awake or was I asleep? Or maybe, just maybe, was I somewhere in between? What is my brain actually trying to tell me?
Thank you for watching the Sleep to Dream Analytics Explainer video. We hope you sleep well and dream easy.